Hi everyone, it's Rebecca, the Colorful Book Nester, and today we are going to be going through a work in progress that I did. As you may know, if you've been watching the channel, on the past previous videos I've been talking about hashtag Knock It Out November, which was originally set up as a book tag kind of, or something for a bookathon, a readathon for November, but I kind of commandeered it and was using it for my coloring for my get or dones, because I have plenty of them. Basically, I am working in these works in progress. So this one was done almost, well, this is actually how far I got it done. I think I began this back in October of last year, 2021. And, I really enjoyed the look of this picture. Now, this is the first one I've ever done in a Christine Karron book. It's Fairy and Fantasy 2, the Grayscale coloring book. And the paper has been a challenge. I talk about that later on in the video, as well as the fact that I started this picture with a different type pencil than what I'm using right now. So what you're going to be seeing in this video is me using a version of a Faber Castell, either the Goldfabers or the Polychromos. Now, the Goldfibers, the way I understand it, is that they are probably in between the student pencils, which you find in the red boxes, and the Polychromos, which is more of a professional grade pencil. I actually have quite a set of these of all mixed together, trying to kind of, and the problem is with the Goldfibers, they only give you numbers, they don't give you names or colors for the names. So when you see a Goldfiber, it'll be a black barrel pencil and it'll have the numbers on it. And when you see the Polychromos, you'll see that I've put 9201 dash some number, and that's your Polychromos. I wanted to see them side by side working together, and I thought that this was a great opportunity to do that. Neither one of these are from my sets or from my set of Polychromos. These are all the Polychromos are ones I've bought individually. I have been working or trying to work with Polychromos Faber Castells for many years, but not many times, if that makes sense. Over the years, I've picked them up, I've tried to use them. I just don't have them comfortable in my hand yet. I'm much more comfortable with my Prismacolors. And because of that, I had a tendency to not use my Faber-Castell. Since moving here in Singapore, we have a situation where I'm going to need to use Faber-Castell because I can get replacements for them, whereas I have a much more difficult time getting replacements for my Polychromos Prismacolors. So, sorry, not Polychromos. I knew I was going to say that, for my Prismacolors. So I'm going to really try to force myself to use these because I am a firm believer that you really, really need to utilize your pencils and become used to them and learn their little intricacies because every colored pencil is different. And so becoming comfortable, learning how they blend, learning how hard to press. One of the things with Faber-Castell versus Polychromos, I'm going to do this. I need to just say Polychromos. So the difference between Polychromos and a Prismacolor is how hard I can easily press on that first couple passes. I hold these Polychromos far away from the barrel. I try to, so that I can still control them, but I am more likely to put down a lighter layer to begin with. As I move up, which I'm actually quite close here, I would say I'm much closer than I normally am. See how far back I am? Now this is one of the Goldfabers because it has the black barrel, you can see that. Also, I've put it on the screen for you. And again, they only do numbers. They don't do colors, so I just use the number. But when I'm using these, you can see I hold this pencil far away from that barrel because otherwise I will start holding really tightly and I will start trying to press down and force the color. And it just doesn't seem to work for either sets of my Faber-Castells. So that's just something I'm learning. The paper is going to be questionable, as I said, and then going over pencils that I've previously laid down that are a different brand is another challenge that I get to work with as well in this particular coloring. And so that's something to be aware of as you give your pencils a fair chance before you decide if they're really for you or not. And it might be that, like in my case, I had a set that was really good for me and really comfortable in my hand, and I was happy with that set, and that was the Prisma colors. But since moving to Singapore and not being able to find a Prisma colors except for in one store, and then definitely not to be, and that was as a full 150 set, which I don't want to buy every time. I need another marine green or kelp, because I seem to use those a lot. So I want to really make myself work with these Faber Castells because I can get those in individual sales. So, individual pencils I can purchase. I can also get the sets, and I can get that at almost every art store they have here in Singapore. And they have some great art stores. They just don't carry Prismacolors. And if they do, it's really hit and miss which ones are available to purchase. I did find 2 stores that had them for individual sale, but the pickings, they were slim pickings at the best. So I hope that overall this is a enjoyable little peek into what I colored. I got this one completed in about 4 days. I'm still working on getting that build up. I did go more than 30 minutes at one time on this one to kind of finish it. But that's kind of good because the impetus was to finish. And the same with the next one that I'll be putting up after this one, probably next week. So it's Knock It Out November.
So you may be wondering why I did these whooshes, which I think are supposed to symbolize probably like breeze or air or something. And the only reason that I did it in the different colors is to kind of introduce the colors across the page. So again, if we look at this page, and we've got very heavy green throughout, but there's no green up in this corner. It kind of gives me the opportunity to introduce a little bit of green. So we're just going to make them shiny little green wind streaks, I guess. So this page has had so many different type of colors on it, and by that I just mean color brands. I was trying to use Illuminance, I think was the one. No, it wasn't. It was Irotijan that I was using on this. And it just did not work with this paper. And I think that's one of the reasons that I kind of put this to the side, was because of that, being with the Irotijan, and it just, it's slipping all over the paper. And this book is, I ordered the book from Amazon. It's not typical Amazon paper. But let me just go back out a little bit here. So as you can see, but the paper it's doing better with the different Faber Castell and the Goldfabers that I'm using. But still kind of I think it just doesn't have a whole lot of tooth. So I'm having to be a lot lighter in pressure, which I should just overall do probably, and not fight it as much. But it's been a bit of a challenge. And I think that's why this one got put to the back. And then I subsequently, I did not pay to have my Irotijan shipped to Singapore. I've given up on them. I've tried them on several different ones, several different papers. And though the colors, they were really pretty in some cases, the laydown was just very odd in my hands and just didn't work for me. So, but I love the idea that they were in little dictionary and little books and all that. But in my hands, I just couldn't get them to work. And that's what some of the moving kind of, I only moved that which either I hadn't used yet and wanted to try, or that I felt comfortable with. I'm just going to go in and kind of brighten it up with this yellowy green. I'm actually going to come in and do a little bit of using this kind of as the glow on like some of her sleeves and stuff, because it does have a little bit of a bright yellow to it. If you notice down here, I did kind of a pink, and I'll continue. And that's because of the green sweeping down here. So I changed it to more of a pink down in this color to kind of bring that color to this corner. So whatever those are supposed to be, if it's supposed to be the colors of the wind, my colors for the wind is pinks and greens. All right, so now I'm going to go in and start trying to beef up the idea of these white sleeves. At least that's what I'm thinking they are. And of course, by doing anything to make it look a little bit whiter or having the shadows necessary for a white is to put these blue kind of in. And then I probably am going to go ahead and bring in one of my white, probably Artex, I think is what I have, acrylic pens at the end. But we're still going to put some shadows in here. And I'm thinking of this as a white skirt down here underneath. Now I'm going to go ahead on her skin and put a bit of a blue cast to help shade whatever color I end up doing her skin. And I'm going to just do that on a couple places here, kind of introduce those shadows a little bit more. Now this is a grayscale coloring, so I'm definitely getting a lot of help from that. not only guidance, but also kind of beefing up these colors a little bit. So I can go in very light and then just kind of keep building if I feel like I need to. But I am going to go ahead and do the shadows and kind of just to build those up a little bit more. Once I decide and start working on the skin, which I kind of want to get her a little bit warm. Right now it's funny, and with the blues I just introduced, it can cool the skin a little bit, so I will be using probably more reds and taupey brown kind of colors. So I'm sure that at this point you can probably see right where those shadows are. And grayscale, it has taken me a little while to get comfortable with, but what I like about grayscale is it does help places that need to be highlighted to really stand out and be able to be highlighted. So I'm getting much more comfortable with working within grayscale. It also, while I'm doing it, I really pay close attention to like how the shadows are done. So like how this is going down the nose, the grayscale that's there, and that helps me learn better about what I should be looking for when putting in shadows and things. So like the curve of the chin down here, and that there's more nuance of shadow on the lips, which gives it that full dimension. Now I can really kind of appreciate what the artist has done, and then try to see in the future, if I don't get as much detail, what do I need to be adding, you know? When you look at the nose and you don't think of it as a nose, and you see all the little different half moons, or you go, oh, there's a circle there, there's this, break it down to that, then it's going to help me when shading on something that doesn't have as much information provided. At least that's the way I think at it.
So now I'm just adding a lot of warm colors. You're going to see me kind of going back and forth between these different reds and pinks, just trying to darken down just a little bit. You'll also notice that I do continue on going through my polychromos and the Goldfabers as well. The biggest thing I will say here is really, really following all that grayscale. I mean, it's great. It also helps you in the future when you don't have grayscale to kind of think back to pictures like this and think about the fact that some of the shadows, especially those along the jawline, the shadows are inside of that jawline. It's not a deep shadow directly from the right along there. You can see there's like a white space between where I was just coloring and the actual jawline, and so that really highlights and doesn't have you going really dark along the jawline. So your shadows along jawlines and faces, according to grayscale that I'm looking at, is like down underneath the chin, or it's right above the black drawn line that we've seen for the jawline again. So this is one reason why I do like grayscale particularly. I mean, even the shadowing underneath her lips I would have never thought to do in such that manner right there, without seeing the grayscale and go, oh, that kind of makes sense. Definitely helps out with the nose. The nose is always a big challenge for me. So I'm finishing this up. All of these colors that you're seeing me use here basically is what I also use on the hands. Now I don't show you me completing the hands. in the video. I figured that these were good color choices kind of to look at, and mainly any of these type of videos I'm doing right now are just to show you what I've been coloring, and then if you need maybe certain pencils you're wondering about, certain colors and all that. So I'm feeling, whoa, we got a super, super close up there. So she is not finished, but she is for today with the video. And I will be putting in right now the finished one. And you can see it's very intense and very dark. I continue moving back. I even went in with some of my like Staedtlers and some of my pens to kind of deepen the colors even more. But I think she turned out okay. I was pretty happy and content with her. And so here we are finishing up our works in progress. And remember, as I always say, keep coloring those pages. Bye for now.